1, and let's see what we got going here. Looks like we're live. So if you're watching this on playback, guys, we're going to be discussing all 3 episodes of Elseworlds. We may also talk about the Legends of Tomorrow mid-season finale. I'm sorry, I've had a little bit too much tonight. Legends of Tomorrow mid-season finale. So careful for spoilers for both Elseworlds and the Legends of Tomorrow mid-season finale, and possibly some stuff that we might be seeing next year. So all those spoilers are out of the way. If you're watching this on playback, you have been warned. So we got some people coming in the chat already. What's up, guys? Giovanni, Dino Dragon, Marcus, Yash, all here. How is everyone? We're going to wait for a few people to get here. So just let you guys know, Pagey is here with me. If you guys can hear him, let us know.
Hello.
Happy birthday, Chessmaster1212. Happy birthday. Hey, Victor, Jeremy, all my early peeps, Elizabeth, Growly Bear, Nolan, Austin Gaming. Hello, everybody. Are we going to start already? I've already had too much. I'm a little bit too tipsy to be talking about that anyway. My mind exploded at the end. Infotex, what's up? Westinghound, Moha. Yes. We're going to be talking about all 3 of the Elseworlds episodes. And of course, that big, shocking announcement at the end. So we're going to talk about all that, plus any other stuff you guys want to talk about. If you want to talk about Legends, we can. I haven't done my review on that. I haven't even written my notes out for that yet. So the Supergirl episode ended tonight, and I think it's... let's go ahead and start off by saying which episode we liked the most. So we have the Flash episode, which was the kickoff, the Arrow episode, which was basically the Gotham episode, and the Supergirl episode, which was basically the wrap-up of everything, with reality being completely changed for everybody. I would have to say, for me, the second episode was probably my favorite. I really loved the Batwoman stuff. I loved Gotham. I just really loved that episode. I don't know why. It felt like it flowed really well. It wasn't a lot of downtime in it. I don't know. I really enjoyed it. Which one did you like the most, Pagey?
I agree. Arrow, and it's funny that the best episode of the crossover was on Arrow. Seems fitting to me. Based off this season. But I'll just rank it now. Episode 2, Episode 1, Episode 3.
Yeah, I agree. That's my same ranking. Same one.
Funnily enough, Episode 2, I think, flowed well from beginning to end. Episode 1 started really strong and sort of got a bit weaker towards the end. Mm-hmm. And Episode 3 was a bit weak towards the beginning and got strong towards the end. Mm-hmm. So, yeah, it was funny. Like, they were all different. None of them like weak at the end and strong at the beginning, or, either or. They were all different in regards to their strengths, which was surprising. But yeah, Episode 2 was easily the best. If you debate that, then that's interesting.
There's so much stuff, though, that happened in the last 10 minutes of Supergirl. Like... everything at the end of Supergirl was just mind-blowing. The stuff with Oliver and the Monitor, the announcement of next year's crossover, the return of the Psycho Pirate, which I just said in my review. I was like, why did we make such a big deal about this character? He didn't really do anything. But it looks like he's going to be a huge character in next year's crossover, which is crazy. We actually talked about this last week. We were like, if they're going to announce Crisis, it's going to happen at the very end of the episode. Like, it's going to have to be the very end, and it has to be just a teaser. You even said it's probably just going to be like the title or something like that, or just some text. Because
my thought was it was either going to be the title, or it was going to be the Monitor, like, just flat out just saying something. But I thought the Monitor saying something would have been a bit too much, maybe. Mm-hmm. But we'll talk about the Crisis thing, because there's actually something interesting that's... because people are freaking about the date that it says on the screen. Mm-hmm. It says fall 2019, but we'll talk about that later, I guess, post.
Yeah, we'll get to that towards the end, yeah.
Because I guess we'll jump into it, because everyone's obviously want us to talk about, like, theories about Crisis, so I guess we can talk about that later on, but, yeah.
I was just surprised that they announced it. Like, I was like, wow, they really did it. Like, they did this. Like, I just didn't expect it to happen. Dirk Diggler, great name. I love that movie, by the way. With a $1.99 super chat goes, what was the reason that Batman left Gotham? That is a very good question. I assume that we're going to cover that in the Batwoman series, or at least touch on it in the Batwoman series. It seems like it'll be the most appropriate place for it to happen. A lot of people are saying that it's tying the Batwoman series to the Nolan Batman films. I've seen that on like a lot of the clickbait sites. But I feel like it's most appropriate that story will probably be something we'll cover in the Batwoman series. I mean, I'm just guessing. What do you think?
Yeah, even if they do that, they don't, because of did they suggest that Kate knows exactly why Batman left? And then
I didn't get that impression. I mean, maybe she did, but I wasn't getting that impression. What did you think? Do you think that she knew?
Not really. I think she just like maybe understood the struggles as to why he would have left, because now she's Batwoman and she understands the responsibility of trying to protect Gotham, and she understands like the troubles that it has. So I think that's maybe more.
Do you think maybe he told her he was leaving, so that's why she took over? Like maybe he said, "Hey, I'm leaving for a while, and you're gonna have to watch over the city."
Maybe it depends how long Batwoman's been around, because it seems that like she must be new, because you know, none of them knew about Batwoman.
Turbo Flan, $2 super chat says, I felt Kate wasn't unique enough for her own show. I don't know. I kind of liked her. I know there's a lot of division about the casting of Ruby Rose and the character of Kate Kane in general. But, I mean, we're talking about a shorter season. She's not going to get like a 22, 23 episode season. So we're not going to watch her for a whole season. She'll be a half-season show. And they'll probably focus on one main villain, one storyline, most likely. And I liked what I saw, and I wanted to see more of her. So for me, personally, I'm excited to see what they're going to do with the series. Plus, I like the look of Gotham. If it's going to be in Chicago and they're going to do the whole Arkham villains and stuff like that, because we saw so many names. I mean, you did a whole video about like all the names on the doors and the Easter eggs and stuff. It looks like Warner Brothers is giving them access to a lot of characters.
Well, my guess is because Gotham's ending, that basically everyone that's allowed in that show would be allowed on Batwoman, or at least some of them. So it's no surprise that everyone that's on that door is someone that's appeared in Gotham.
Right. Poison Ivy, Riddler, like all the characters from that.
Penguin, even Clayface was on there. And obviously they can bring in Mark Guggenheim if they want for that big bad role, if they really want to bring him in. So yeah, they got like
yeah, see, even Canada Drafts was saying that a lot of people are against Ruby as Batwoman. Batwoman is a character, she benefited from something that a lot of these characters don't, and that's the fact that she's playing this character for the first time in live action. So it's literally her character to do whatever she wants to do with it, really. So the only thing she's got to live up to is the idea of the dark, gritty world that Gotham exists in. So I feel like that's kind of where we are. So one of the big things that stood out for me, and maybe the chat doesn't care, but I care because this is what I do. I stir the pot. Is Nora was not mentioned at all in this crossover. Like, I understand that she wasn't there, but she wasn't even mentioned. And Barry has to remember who she is. So there was no, like, where's Nora? What happened to Nora? No mention of her whatsoever. I don't know what the reason for that was, or what the vision was from the writing department on why they did that. It felt a little strange to me that she wasn't mentioned. You have any insight on that at all?
Nah, basically the same. Like, I don't know what's going on there, why Nora wasn't brought up, and like, it's not like this was like some reality where she doesn't exist because they bring up Cicada and she's the whole reason that
exactly. That was exactly what I was thinking. I'm like, but he's mentioned, so obviously, you know, I mean, I get that they don't want her on the show, and maybe the changes to the reality like took her out of the equation, but Barry would remember her. You know what I mean? Like, it wasn't like since Barry and Oliver both remembered their previous lives, then it stands to reason that Barry knew that Nora wasn't there. So I felt like that was a little bit weird. Laura says because Iris took up the time. Let's not get into that. I actually left Twitter for almost 24 hours after that big argument that happened with the people from the Iris West fans. Well, we could talk about it because there is something kind of important. There was an Iris West scene cut from the 3rd episode. We don't know what that scene was. It's like supposed to be an important scene, according to everything that was being said. No, we have no idea what that scene was. Do you have any idea what that could have been? I mean, I don't know. Based on what we saw,
I heard it was meant to be Barry's last. I think it was something about like Barry and Iris were meant to have a talk, and it was meant to. I quote: "This is." Who was it? It was either Todd Helbing or Candice Patton herself. Barry and Iris bring the crossover home. That was the quote. So, I'm at the end of that crossover. I don't know where that could have been. Because obviously the last scene, the last scenes was obviously meant to be Barry and Oliver in the bar. Oliver gets the phone call. Cut to Batwoman. Cut to Arkham Asylum. Cut to Crisis on Infinite Earth teaser. That's meant to. So
yeah, where would it have fit in that structure? It doesn't really. I don't see where it would have fit.
Yeah, the only thing I can think of is that there must have been a scene maybe where Barry and Iris meet before Barry and Oliver go to the bar. But then I was like, well, I don't know.
What's up, discussing film? Hello.
I'm interested to see what they do with Iris because there's no carry on from Iris from the end of from this crossover where she's like concerned about Barry and entering this darkness or whatever he could possibly be entering.
Right.
Into.
Yeah.
And I had issues with the Flash episode in regards to them trying to paint Oliver as like this like super evil dude almost.
And you know, the funny thing is they did that a lot through all of them. I mean, the Flash episode, it was very prominent, but it kind of carried over all the way to the Supergirl episode too. I was like, but it started there.
Yeah.
Don't become Oliver. Wow. Okay. So, I mean, that was kind of like, and he wasn't even there. Well, he was there, but he wasn't able to defend himself because he wasn't in that conversation. But yeah. It's like, oh my God.
Like I was just sort of like, not too sure about that. That was probably the biggest like negative about the Flash episode, that they were just trying to like really hammer home that Oliver's this bad person. I'm like, would you be teaming up with him every single season?
Right. I mean, I do believe, like, the thing is, Oliver has changed so much since that period. That was like season 2 Oliver. We're in season 7. Like, yeah, he's had a couple of moments since then where things have like fallen back a little bit. But I mean, he just got out of jail. Like, Are we still gonna treat him this way? Like, I don't understand it. It's so weird.
The only reasoning I can see them doing that is but it seems stupid for it because this was this was in the Arrow episode, was that when they have the the fear toxin, and they're battling each other, then Barry can understand where Oliver's coming from, regards to that. But I was like, that's just in a fight with Malcolm Merlin, where Malcolm Merlin makes like 2 references to Oliver's past. Like, I don't think that really, explains why you would have this whole thing where like Oliver's painted as this bad dude.
Right. But the thing is, though, with Oliver at the end of this crossover, basically, and this is my opinion, we'll talk about this in a moment, going to the Monitor and putting his life on the line pretty much by facing against this character who is so powerful, that shows a morality to him that exceeds a lot of the other characters we have. You know what I mean? Like, Barry didn't go talk to him. Supergirl didn't go talk to him. Oliver did it by himself, knowing that this character could just wipe him out of existence, really.
Yeah. And they didn't it's not like Barry and Kara know exactly what he did when he went to the Monitor sphere, or whatever they want to call it. That wasn't explained. Now I guess we'll jump into this now.
Yeah, go ahead.
But people theorizing that Oliver's going to be the one that dies next year.
Yeah, I've seen that already.
I call bullshit on that. I think that's a terrible ending for the character. I think that's a shit ending for the character. I personally think it's such a lazy way to do it, and trying to make it like, Arrow's on season 8. If it gets to season 8, because we might have to talk about when this crossover actually even happens. But I just think it's super lazy doing it that way, and it takes away any. If everyone's predicting it now, then it takes away all surprise from it. Unless they're trying to make us think that Oliver's going to be the one that dies, and then Barry actually end up dying like he does in the comics.
But and the weird thing about it is, it's almost like, if anybody's watched Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., you guys will know that last season, Agent Coulson made a deal with the spirit of the Ghost Rider that no one knew about. Like in season 4, it was like, we don't know what this deal is that he made with Ghost Rider or whatever. ultimately the deal that he made had to do with his life, you know? Like that was kind of like, and it always feels like that's the situation. I would hate for them to feel like they're basically taking that same idea and going with it here just to give Oliver some big send-off, like a Superman type send-off or whatever, because that's not the character of Oliver. Oliver Queen doesn't want that for himself. He does what he does because it's within him as a person. He's not doing it for some greater good or to get a statue of himself out in the middle of town or to get a museum named after him. That's not why Oliver Queen does what he does as the Green Arrow. The Flash, sure. Supergirl, sure. Oliver Queen, no. You know, it feels so out of character. I can't imagine that's the sacrifice he would give him. But him being there by himself, what else could he have offered? You know what I mean? Yeah. Like, what else could he have done?
Well, I said in my review, my only other, at the time I was thinking, okay, because I didn't even think about the whole Oliver sacrificing himself, because I thought him just going to the monitor at that stage was technically him putting himself on the line.
Mm-hmm. Just for that moment, right? Yeah, exactly.
Just for that moment.
Yeah, that's what I thought too.
So I thought, well, would they do that again? That's sort of like double dipping. But my thought was just like, okay, well, maybe he's just agreed that their Earth is going to be the one that joins the monitor. Mm-hmm. And does this whole
That's
thing.
a good point.
Now,
that's a good point.
Whether Oliver knows what's coming is another question in itself. That'd be interesting of like the mortal person here, like the person who has no healing abilities, rapid healing abilities, is the one that knows of this complete threat coming in.
Right.
That'd be pretty interesting. But yeah, I don't know. I'll probably make a video on it separately, but I just hate the idea. I think it's super.
We got a year, so you can make several videos about it.
Mate, I'll make 362 videos until part 1 of 362.
Right.
It's coming out tomorrow. Get ready. Notifications on, please.
Yeah, go ahead.
But yeah. If they I just hate the idea of. I just think it's super lazy, and I think it's almost disrespecting Oliver's character to make him that scapegoat, and it almost is like not respecting Barry's character either. Because, well, not in regards to like not respecting, but is this what's happening next year in this crossover? Is this the crisis event that Barry's meant to disappear in?
That's the feeling that I'm getting. Yes, that's what I'm feeling like is going to happen.
So if Oliver's the one that dies and sacrifices himself to stop what's going on, Barry never disappears. Timeline's stuffed up.
Oh,
comes back.
You're right. I mean? You're right. Yeah, that's true.
I don't know. It's going to be interesting to see what they do here. Like, I don't know. Yeah, I don't know. I'm looking forward to it. However, there's some concerns just because I think they need to handle this right, because it is a thing that people have been looking forward to since Flash season 1. Mm-hmm. And they need to handle it right just in regards to the characters. Does it feel
weird? I guess it's not weird, but does it feel weird to anybody else in the chat? Can chime in on this as well, and we'll do the super. I'm going to answer your super chat in just a second, Marcus. Don't worry. Does it feel weird that we're getting the Crisis event on the TV shows before the movies? I would have thought something as big as Crisis would have been something that DC wanted to do in their film side. You know, like maybe that was off limits, which is why we got Crisis on Earth X, right? But now we know we're getting Crisis on Infinite Earths. Is anybody else like thinking that it's kind of crazy that we're getting it on the TV side first? Because I love Marvel and I love DC. Like I love both companies. But this is at a level and a scale for TV that I don't think we've ever seen before. Something at this level. It's huge.
Yeah. Well, yeah. Well, we'll talk about it now, I guess, because we're in like it'd be weird not to come just to end it here and just ruin the momentum.
Yeah. Go ahead.
Okay, so the date said fall 2019.
Right.
So there's people. Okay, so fall in America would go from, if December's winter, that would mean it would go from beginning of September till November, end of November, I think. December, so November, October, yeah, September. So 1st of September to November 30th is fall in America. Mm-hmm. So people are freaking out, wondering if it's going to like kick off the seasons. Technically, the first episode of the crossover could be on November 30th, and it'd still be technically fall 2019 that the crossover's in. However, if this is Crisis on Infinite Earths, people are going to die. Would you do 7 episodes of Arrow season 8 and have Oliver die?
Mm-hmm.
And then, like, what happens after that?
Yeah, that's weird. You're right.
You know what I mean?
Yes,
Even with Flash, even with Supergirl, like, what happens after that? Does
and
anyone
that was
die?
one of
Or
Marcus's super chat, the $2 super chat. Thank you so much, Marcus. He goes, "Do you think Arrow will continue if Steven leaves?" Like, I don't know how they would do it. Like, how would the show continue without that character? I mean,
yeah. So the only other option is that it isn't fall, and it is like a crossover that kicks off all the seasons,
right.
for the shows. And that's the only one that doesn't like.
Because if they merge all
everything
the like another theory is that they're going to merge all of the shows together, meaning they're going to pull in Supergirl, they're going to pull in Black Lightning into one Earth, so there's no more multiversal stuff, which sounds really cool. You know what I mean? It does sound cool, but it also eliminates a lot of stories that the Flash would tell, because the Flash kind of relies on the multiverse. So do we remove the multiverse completely and bring all the shows into one network and say, okay, everybody's here, and now we're dealing with all these new characters interacting with each other? Or is it just going to be one of those things where it's the Crisis Light event where it happens, but it doesn't connect all the Earths together? You know what I mean?
Or they could do something now, because they have established that there are technically infinite Earths. They could make it that there is merging, and they cut it down to 52 Earths. So Earths will merge. So let's say Earth 30, Earth 38 and Earth 1 will merge to make one Earth, to, you know, if that makes sense.
I wouldn't mind if they just put those two together. If Earth 38 and Earth 1 merged into one, like Earth Prime or something, I'd be okay with that, you know?
Yeah. I'm just intrigued to see how they go about it, because this is such a big thing that if characters do die, it will feel weird if it is just placed, you know, in episode 8, you know?
Right.
So
Elizabeth said, is it going to be like 6 years early? Isn't that going to affect the timeline as well? Anything that you see in the future can be changed. Like, none of that is guaranteed. So even if it feels like it's coming early, or if it's affecting the timeline early, technically yes, because it would affect our characters in the future. But in our current timeline, it doesn't really make much of a difference. Things can happen early. Like, we see the cicada stuff happening early. So things can happen early on the show, and it doesn't really affect anything, you know, in the future, for us anyway. Mike Horan with the $2 super chat, hashtag always late to the party. It's okay, Mike, we'll give you a pass. It's only been 20 minutes. You can go back and watch it when this goes up later. P Diddy 627 goes, would it affect future William? That's a good question. Now it puts the Arrow flash forwards into question if we're going to do Crisis. I mean, because they said there would be no time travel on Arrow, but technically if the Crisis event happens, it's not on Arrow, it's on a crossover event. So it could affect the future. So maybe that's their way of not totally hard signing on that, I guess. I don't know. Dr. Meatball, why aren't there any Kryptonians on Earth 1? Well, Kara said she guessed her pod didn't land. So I'm just going to assume that that's why. That on Earth 1, that event with Krypton sent the Kryptonians somewhere else. That's really the only real explanation. Because we saw that Alex is there. And you had even said, Paige, we talked about this last week, that characters that are Earth characters may not always exist across all the Earths. Like, there may be Earths where certain characters aren't there. A good example is Earth 90. Barry Allen is actually Henry Allen. So the Grant Gustin Barry isn't there.
And I think whatever it was, in the first Flash and Supergirl crossover, it was either like Cisco or Wells didn't exist on... Or was it Barry Allen didn't exist on Earth 38?
Right, yeah.
One of those three, or maybe all of them didn't. Actually, I think Cisco existed. Maybe Wells existed, but one of them didn't. I can't remember which one it was, because I remember they made it a point that one of them didn't exist over there.
Marcus said the first super chat. Which super chat did I miss, Mark? Oh, the Gotham one. Okay, yeah, no problem. The $5 super chat. I did miss that one. Sorry about that. I have them right in front of me. He wants to know, how likely would it be that we could see the Gotham actors reprise their role? Unfortunately, probably not very likely. I would love to see some of them come back. I mean, I love the Alfred on Gotham. And, I'm not a big fan, no shade towards him, of Bruce Wayne on Gotham. I think he's been okay, but not necessarily my favorite Bruce Wayne. Catwoman would be cool. Some of the other characters, definitely Penguin and Riddler, I think. But I would love for them to come over, but that was a contract they had with Fox and Warner Brothers. And so it would totally be up to Greg Berlanti and his company to do that. So yeah. Why is this held for review? Oh, because it's got, like, anytime somebody puts bad language in, this pops up and says held for review. Not me. I'm not doing that. Guess just YouTube does it automatically. What happened to Earth 90 Flash? So me and Pagey, we talked about this, I think, on Twitter. I don't think he's gone. I think he just got teleported away. What do you think? I don't think he got rid of him. I think he just poofed him somewhere else.
That would have been the most anticlimactic ending if he just appeared. Then he's dead. And Monitor doesn't seem to like necessarily kill for the sake of killing. He kills for a purpose.
Right.
Like he won't directly kill or something. Like he'll present something. It's a challenge. If you die, you die.
He's got the power to do it though. That's the thing. I mean, he's definitely powerful. So
yeah, he could just kill you if he wanted to.
Right.
So I'm guessing Earth 90 Flash either just went back to Earth 90 and was all burnt or whatever. I don't know. I was sort of surprised he didn't show up again, but
yeah, he may come back next season. Maltor's right. I mean, we may see him again in the Crisis event. You know, Canada Grass says Earth 90 Flash went to apartment 4, confirmed.
Yeah.
Dr. Meatball says Nora isn't canon. That's a really interesting statement. Makes me wonder after this crossover. Does this give any implications to what Nora actually is? Is she like an anomaly? Is she not like legitimately a thing? It's kind of interesting. We'd also talked about the Speed Force language and the Book of Destiny. You even joked about that. You said, is this going to be the Book of Destiny, like the Spear of Destiny? Which is funny they actually called it the Book of Destiny. I'm like, really? I mean...
Well, in the comics, it's called the Book of Souls primarily, but it's otherwise known as the Book of Destiny. But I think they wanted to... And Guggenheim is a big, brain behind this. I'm guessing he thought, well, in Legends, we had the Spear of Destiny. It changed reality, so we'll just call this the Book of Destiny. I guess it makes sense. I guess it sounds better than Book of Souls.
Right. Bryce says we get Reverse Flash in next year's crossover. I mean, we could. We got a little bit of him in this one as an illusion or a hallucination. But we could get him next year. I think next year, though, it's going to be, if it's anything like the actual comic book thing, like the story from the comics, we might see villains actually team up with the heroes. So that's possible. Christina with a $10 super chat. Is that an Australian dollar? Or Australian $10?
Yeah, Australian dollars, yeah.
Oh, okay. If we ever get a Superman show, do you think we will get Baby John Kent? Thank you for your super chat there. I don't know, but the thing is that if you look at the timeline based on the announced pregnancy, and let's talk about that for a moment too. I want to talk about that for a moment. But the announced pregnancy of Lois Lane and where we're going to be like next year at this time, the baby will be born by then, obviously. So it is possible we could see something like that. I know that right now one of the most popular characters in the comics is that Superboy character. Which Bat kid is he teamed up with? Is it Damian Wayne or is it not Damian Wayne? I know in the comics.
Say again?
The Superboy from the new comics run, the one like Superman and Superboy together.
Yeah, it's Damian.
Is it Damian? Okay, I always feel like Damian's too old, and I always wanted to call him something else, but I can't remember if they had done another one. But yeah, that would be kind of interesting if they did that. And speaking of the Superman and Lois, one of the odd things to me, and the chat, you can chime in on this as well. Why do you think they spent so much time on Superman and Lois? Because there was a lot of time spent on them in this final episode. Do you think we're setting up a spinoff, or what do you think's going on here?
I think they had to maybe fight to get Lois Lane into the crossover. Mm-hmm. Maybe, and they thought, well, if we're going to bring her in, we're going to make it worth it. That's my thoughts. And maybe they wanted to give a lot of... Because Lois has been mentioned before, but we've never seen her. So I think they didn't want to make it just like, oh, she's here for... Because she wasn't really in episode 1 a lot. She was in just the farm scene, wasn't it?
Yeah, that was it.
Yeah, and in this episode, wasn't in it a lot either. So when you think about it, Lois Lane wasn't in the crossover a lot. It's just that when she was in it, she was a focus. Like it was really just her and Clark, or her, Kara and Clark. There wasn't a lot of just, her in the background like we had with like, Iris, I guess, or even Felicity in the Arrow and Flash episodes. So maybe that's why it just seemed like they were focusing on her a lot. But when you put it down to time, she actually wasn't in a lot of the crossover.
Right. I just feel like they spent a lot of time on the relationship between her and Clark. A lot of people are also talking about how she looked. I think they were trying to find someone who was reminiscent of the Margot Kidder Lois Lane, because that's really what she looked like. Plus, I believe, correct me if I'm wrong, isn't the actress actually pregnant in real life? I think she's pregnant in real life.
I talked about that a couple of times, and she actually tweeted out. I think she was 23 or 26 weeks pregnant when filming.
Okay. So yeah, I mean, and I actually think that she had good chemistry with Tyler Hoechlin too. So I thought that was kind of good. So also the weapon she had, there was a lot of people going crazy about that. And again, I'm not sure, but was that the cosmic hammer? Was that what that was?
I don't know. It was the thing that Cisco touched when he went to the fortress, I think.
Right, but I mean, I don't think it was supposed to be like a Thor hammer. I think it was actually like I think it's called the cosmic hammer or something like that. Maybe they've confirmed it by now. I don't know. But it was a pretty powerful weapon. I mean, she used it and it was enough to knock fake Superman back, which was kind of interesting. There was also a lot of people wondering why the evil Superman was able to defeat the real, or like to beat up the real Superman. My impression was he was pulling the power levels that Amazo had registered, and he absorbed both Superman and Supergirl's power. So I'm thinking maybe he was stronger than the actual Superman. Or what do you think it was? Do you think? I mean, he seemed like he was kind of handing it to Superman, and he literally just got the powers. So
I'm just going to assume because it's his reality.
Probably. I mean, that's a good point.
He just probably made himself as like no matter who he comes across.
Did anybody else think that Superman was actually merging Earth 38 and Earth 1 there for a second when he was with the book in his hands and everything? I felt like they were pulling in National City, like his National City, onto Earth 1, and I'm like, is he inadvertently bringing the two Earths together?
Well, I thought because like Brainiac 5 was there and Martian Manhunter was there and Lois was there. I thought, well, there, and we already had a Jimmy Olsen and an Alex Danvers on Earth 1. Mm-hmm. I just thought he was basically gonna like almost like close the Earth off, but then change those characters back to how they are on Supergirl. Mm-hmm. If that makes sense. But I was like, it could be a bit messy if they did that. So it sort of was in the back of my head, don't do it this way because it's a bit. It's just a bit late in the crossover. Right. It just seems like it's going to be messy to even like make sense of. So I'm sort of happy they didn't do that. I'd rather them just do it in like a proper Crisis on Infinite Earths event where like that's the end result. Mm-hmm. You know.
Yeah. Somebody were saying Tyler Hoechlin is nerfed as Superman. I don't know about that, but he did say that Supergirl was more powerful than him, which I know probably triggered a bunch of people. Okay, I know that for sure. But I do believe in the comics. Again, I'm not a Supergirl expert. But in certain iterations, they had said that she was more powerful than Superman in the comics. Which was part of one of the Crisis events. Correct me if I'm wrong. But in one of the Crisis events, it was stated that a version of Supergirl was actually stronger than Superman.
Isn't she more powerful because
she absorbed more solar radiation? Is that what it is?
It's something like, I think it's because like she actually spent time on Krypton. So then when she actually comes to Earth, the effect of the Earth's yellow sun is more, it just makes her more powerful or something like that.
Yeah.
Or something along those lines.
Yeah. Omega311 with a $4.99 super chat. Seth over there says, you and me are beefing now. Came all the way to Florida and didn't say hi. Glad you're back. I didn't have a lot of time. I actually left Florida early because of the bad weather. So next time I come down, I will let you know. We'll get together, take a picture, grab some lunch or something. Thank you so much for the $4.99 super chat. So now Superman keeps leaving because they can't keep using him, so they're coming up with ways for him to like go away. So I knew as soon as he said he was leaving for a while, I'm like, okay, well that explains where he'll be for the rest of the season. So we don't have to worry about him coming back or doing anything for the rest of the season. No, that was okay. So Knives says no, that was retcon. He was always more powerful. Okay. I'm getting conflicting results there. I've looked it up a couple times, and I saw several iterations of Supergirl were more powerful than Superman. So, P. Diddy goes, do you think we'll see Jon Stewart or John Diggle because of the Earth 90 Flash said about the ring? Okay, so let's talk about that then. That's a good segue. So we got the tease of Green Lantern from the Earth 90 Flash, who asked John about his ring, and that Earth is destroyed. So, will we ever see that version? I mean, with some reality altering stuff, maybe, possibly we'll see that version. But we're to assume that Earth 90 was destroyed by the Monitor, or whatever that battle was that they had on Earth 90. So, I don't know if we're ever going to see it or not. I think it was more of like, hey, you know, fans, we're just pointing out that we've seen your memes and all of your Photoshop skills of, you know, John Diggle as the Green Lantern. So we're going to throw out there and say that he's a Green Lantern on Earth 90. There you go. Have a good day. I mean, do you think we'll ever see him as the Green Lantern? I mean, I don't know. We could in Crisis, but what do you think?
If it is, it'll be like a quick scene, because I don't know if they'd be able to do a lot of his CGI.
I mean, are they still planning on doing a Green Lantern movie? I thought at one point they were, which is why they weren't going to let them do a Green Lantern on the TV show.
Yeah, but who knows when that's going to happen? Who knows? Could happen 2 years, it could happen 10 years. Who knows when that's going to happen?
So that was kind of a cool little Easter egg, though. It was fun seeing the Earth 90 Flash, but it was very overhyped for the amount of time that we got him on screen. I mean, we think we didn't get a lot of Batwoman. We really didn't get a lot of that. Like, literally, he did exactly what I hate guest stars doing. He showed up to provide information, and then he was gone. And it happened so often. It happened with Our Man back when the JSA was introduced. He showed up to provide information, and then he was gone. It happens on Legends quite often. There's been several guest stars that are on episodes that are literally there just to be information dumps. And I really hate that. So, how about the Red Skies? Any opinion on that? The whole process of that now? Because that was mentioned all the way back in season 1 of The Flash. We finally get it, and it ends up being a speedster trying to break through to this Earth. Is that all it was?
Yeah, it just seemed like the Earth 90 Barry Allen was just trying to track down Oliver and Barry, and that's why the Red Skies were following wherever.
But didn't our Barry travel to Supergirl's Earth using just his powers in season 1? There was no Red Skies then, and that was from Earth 1 to Earth 38. So
I have no idea. I think it was just them trying to tease Crisis and just sort of like letting us down. Well, I don't know why they did it.
I mean, it's fine, but it conflicted with what we saw before, because clearly in season 1 of Supergirl, when our Barry traveled to her Earth, it was just like Cisco vibing, the same way Zoom was doing it, right? Because Zoom did it all the time. So it's kind of interesting. Let's see. What do we want to talk about next? We have so much to talk about. I'm just jumping around from everything. Are they going to be filming Batwoman in Chicago? Is that what's going to happen now? I mean, is the whole season going to be filmed in Chicago? I love the skyline. I love the buildings and everything. So. I mean,
because even they did some of the street stuff in Chicago, so it's like, and like Gotham has to look different than like what they do for Central City and Star City with Vancouver. It has to look different. So if it's not Chicago, maybe Toronto. That's where they film Titans. Maybe that could work. If, yeah, I don't know where it's cheap to film, because obviously they don't want an expensive place.
I see some people in the chat saying that she wasn't using enough gadgets as Batwoman. I mean, she didn't. I mean, she used the Batarang. She used a grappling hook. I don't know what else she would have used. I mean,
would you want to use the shark repellent? Like, what does she want? I think she used enough for the situation. She used something else. I don't know if she would have used a grappling gun to pick up those dudes and hang them up. I guess it would have been the grappling gun. I don't know.
Okay, so Cantergraphs confirms as of right now there's no office in Vancouver, and usually they would have one set up by now to rent studios and stuff. So we know the show's coming, and if there's no shop set up in Vancouver, then it's definitely not going to be filming there. So let's see. So how do you think our characters did in each other's role? You know, Barry as the Green Arrow and Oliver as the Flash. Any thoughts and opinions on that?
Like, who did who better?
Yeah, like which one of them do you think filled the roles better opposite of their normal characters?
I'd have to probably say Oliver is Barry, just because I think Stephen Amell can play that comedic side, but I don't think Grant's very good at I'm the Green Arrow.
And they don't give Stephen enough of those moments though. You know, he doesn't get enough of those moments in the show.
Yeah, like I think the moments where Stephen was able to be the Flash, I think he did better than what Barry was as Green Arrow. Like Barry looked good in the Green Arrow suit, but in regards to being Oliver Queen, I don't think he was as good as what.
If it was another version of Oliver Queen, one that we didn't know that he was portraying, maybe it would have worked. But he was supposed to be the version that we know from our show, from the Arrow show. So Marcus with another $2 super chat, can Batwoman glide? We'll answer that in a second. So final thoughts on that. You think that Steven did better as Barry?
But it wasn't by a long shot. It just said if you had to pick, it was Steven as Flash.
Is it bad? Okay, so is it bad that I actually really liked the way that Oliver was using the Speed Force? We talked about this as well, where he was running around like he was going up the side of buildings and jumping off of things and doing stuff that our Barry doesn't normally do, because it was like Green Arrow. It was literally Green Arrow with the Speed Force. That's what it was. And it felt so cool to see him doing that, because our Barry normally just runs in a straight line. Unless he's literally going in another direction.
Oliver was using tactics. I think that's the best way to sum it up. Oliver was actually using tactics.
Yeah.
I think the thing that made it hard to explain was, how Oliver basically was acting as if he was Barry in season 1, episode 1, where he had no idea how to use his speed. I think they lacked to show how Grant, fair enough, being able to fight, just combat training, but being overly skilled with his arrows and knowing what certain arrows to use at certain points. I don't think they felt they could cover that. However, I can understand why they didn't do that, because it's not as interesting as maybe seeing Oliver struggle with the powers.
Right.
I think that's probably why they did it, but I just felt it was a bit inconsistent, but I don't know.
All right, so we're going to answer your super chat, then we're going to talk about some controversial stuff, right? Okay. So Marcus had a $2 super chat. Can Batwoman glide? Thank you so much for the super chat, Marcus. I don't know if she can. Her cape is only it only comes down to the small of her back, I think. So I don't know if that's enough fabric for her to actually glide, but it is a TV show. So, I mean, they could totally be yeah, it does, it works. I don't know in the comics if she does it very often. Like I said, I'm not very knowledgeable on Batwoman. I only really read one run of hers. So, I mean, we'll have to wait and see on the series. What do you think, Pagey? Do you think she'll be able to glide with her cape, or?
I can see them
maybe a short distance.
I can see them fixing her suit a bit, maybe for the actual show. I can see them fixing up her cape.
Maybe a longer cape.
Because I think this suit was made it's made in a day, but I think they made it because you got to remember, when they made this suit and Batwoman was coming to the show, there was no confidence that Batwoman was actually going to be picked up for a pilot and just further on. So I think they made the suit as almost because if you actually look at the episode, a lot of Batwoman's shots are just her top half. They don't show her
because up. And I even said that when we reviewed the suit, is from the midsection down, it's just a plain black suit. There's nothing to it.
Yeah, and the only times you see her from in the whole body is from distance, and you can't really see the details. So it just looks like it's just a normal black suit. It's it's spandex. So I have a feeling for her pilot, they actually spend a bit more money, especially if Batwoman's popular and a lot of people were talking about it. Obviously, I think Ruby Rose herself was actually really happy with the response she got. I think she might have been maybe a bit anxious about that. But the response seemed to be pretty good for her. So I think they'll, like I said, the top half is good. They just need to maybe just add some detailing maybe to the bottom, just so it doesn't look like a pair of just cycling shorts that are going down to your feet.
Right. Ben says he's upset about Gary being the cameo from.
Well, that got leaked last week. I don't know if it was the actor for Gary, but everyone knew that Gary was the cameo. So I was sort of hoping that they weren't sure, but then I saw him at the bar and I was like, oh, okay, we'll use the cameo.
Right. So Tim Rogers, Canadian $5, I believe. Supergirl is now solo and the only Kryptonian protecting Earth 38. I hope she gets the fortress in Clark's absence. I would assume she would. I mean, she's always been, as far as I can tell, she's been able to go there whenever she wants. So, I mean, it's kind of like a shared Fortress of Solitude. I would love for her to have her own thing, but you might be onto something there because now that she's not working out of the DEO, she may actually spend a lot of time at the Fortress, and that could be why we saw a lot of it in this crossover episode. So, it's possible. What do you think? Do you think we're going to see more Supergirl at the Fortress, Pagey, or...
Maybe. I guess especially if she can't work outside of at the DEO, she's going to have some sort of base of operations.
Yeah.
Maybe.
Keep in mind, guys, that Supergirl being solo and protecting Earth-38, as cool as it is, it's literally because they can't have Superman on the show all the time. So that's kind of... I'd rather them do that than him just not be around. Like, I'm just glad they're explaining it. So let's jump into some of the controversy, and that is the lack of the female leads in the crossover this season. So we know for a fact that Iris was... A lot of people were complaining about the lack of Iris in the crossover. I would argue that Iris had one of the most important jobs in the crossover because she set everything up. Like, literally, everything that happened was because of Iris's interference in things, you know? So I feel like that's the case. If anything, I feel like Felicity got shafted. I mean, she is the leading lady of Arrow. And
well, yeah. From the outside, look, if you're not a shipper and you're looking at it from the outside in, Felicity got shafted. Iris actually got to focus and sort of push the plot along. But we all know what shippers look for. They look for kissing. And what couple kissed? Felicity. So that's why there's anger there.
Right.
That's why there's anger there from certain parts. I don't know. I think Canada Grass tweeted out my response was... I think it was like, oh, like they're blowing, like the West Island shippers were blowing up about the lack of Iris. And I was like, she was the third biggest part in that episode. She was bigger than Superman or Supergirl or Lois Lane, Ralph, Caitlin, Cisco, all those other characters. She was the third largest role in that episode. What did you want her to be, the first or the second? Does she want her to become the Flash again or become Green Arrow? Like, the argument around that was stupid. And also the other argument was like, why didn't she go meet Lois Lane? I was like, why? Why would she go over there?
Here was my argument on Twitter with someone about this. We were talking about this just today. Number one, no one from Earth 1 knew that Lois was on Earth 38. No one did. It wasn't like, we're going to see Lois Lane. No one knew that. Iris, when she let them out and she let them go, she knew that she had to stay behind to tell Team Flash what had happened. Because if Iris would have went with them without telling anybody on Team Flash, they would have assumed that these two people kidnapped Iris.
Yeah.
That's what they would have assumed. So it was very important that she stay behind to do that for Barry and Oliver. It was a very important role. Secondly, when we got to Earth 38, we're dealing with the swapping of two people who are trying to fix this thing based on stuff we don't even understand, right? Was Iris just going to tag along and be like, oh, hey, we're journalists. Let's go out and talk journalist stuff and have coffee and hang out. Like, what would that scene even have been? Like, what would that have been? It wouldn't have even fit because it was a training montage. Literally, they showed up, they told them what was going on, and then it was right into training. And that was it. Yeah. That's all that happened in that scene. There would have been no time for us to have a powwow with either her or, like, even this with what Felicity got in her episode, it was literally her finding out that Oliver had lied to her again. That was what it was. It was like, he keeps lying to me, he keeps lying to me, he keeps lying to me. And that was the basis of her for the entire episode, other than putting together that device to open up the Red Skies thing. That was it. That's all she did. And even that was a shared situation with people from Star Labs. And there was a lot of people upset that Felicity, that they were building this without the help of an actual engineer. And it's like, I understand that that's a criticism, and I get that. But we're talking about a show where these characters build all kinds of crazy things in seconds anyway. I've gotten really used to Cisco and Felicity and Curtis and people just making, like, for God's sakes, he had paint on a painting that was made of nanites that could connect to Wi-Fi. Like, come on. Like, it's like the science part of it in that regard, I don't care about, right? That doesn't make any sense. They're not doing something that I find completely unbelievable. But if you look in terms of what happened, Iris had a really good, solid story in that first episode, and Felicity didn't really get anything in her episode. Technically. That, I mean, and I get it. Like, I understand that people want to see their favorite characters. I'm not knocking that. You want to see your favorite character? I want to see my favorite characters. Where is Ragman? Ragman's one of my favorite characters. He just disappeared. I don't get to see him all the time. Firestorm on Legends was my favorite character on that show. Stein and Jax were my favorite two characters on that show, and they're gone. I don't get to see them anymore. So I understand that you want to see your favorite characters. But when you're telling a story, the story has to be the most important part of it, period. You can't just insert scenes that don't fit within the story to appease to fans that are demanding you to do something.
Yeah, and also, like, one of the big things about, like, even Iris going over there is, like, where would the conversation have come up where they're both journalists?
Right.
Like, where would that
Why would it come up? Like, why would it come up? That's the thing.
Unless Iris had rocked, or Lois were there, and they're wearing, well, I guess mainly Lois, and she was wearing, like, a Daily Planet press badge or something like that. And then for some reason, Iris knew what the Daily Planet was, if that even exists on Earth 1. You know what I mean?
Newsflash, Kara's a journalist. And have we seen a sit-down conversation with her and Iris about writing blogs? No. So why would it happen with Lois? It doesn't make any sense. It's a request that just doesn't make any sense.
Yeah. And then the other criticism was, why didn't Iris be the one to go to Argus and speak to Felicity about that thing there? It's like, so you wanted Felicity to breach over to Star City, get Cisco to breach her over, to have a conversation with Felicity about relationships, just for that. That's the only reason she's there. Because I was wondering, is like, what is her other role in being at Argus? There was no role. Like, why would you force it? I know, I can understand maybe why Caitlyn being the one there, people might be like, why is Caitlyn talking about other relationships and stuff? I can sort of understand that criticism, but I think Caitlyn suited that position because she was already at Argus. She's the other female.
Bingo! You hit the nail on the head there, and that's exactly what I was saying. She was already there to help them with the science stuff that was going on. That's why she was there.
And she's a female that's had relationships and stuff. Like,
right.
She can connect with
Would
Felicity.
Cisco sit down and have that conversation with Felicity? No. The most logical person in that situation was Caitlyn.
Yeah, because Cisco would just make like a Han Solo reference or something like that. And Felicity
also, guys, and Canada Graphs may know more about this than I do, but it's possibly due to the fact that next to the main stars, the most expensive actors on the shows are going to be the next level characters, and that would be Felicity and Iris. I would assume that putting them on an episode for like 5 seconds is not worth the money to pay for that. It's just not worth it.
Yeah, I think on Flash, I think Grant and Tom get the most.
Right, and then Candace, I'm assuming, right? I mean, or Jesse,
I think it's
Jesse.
I
Martin.
think Caitlyn's Danielle, well, Candace, Danielle, and Carlos are on the same pay.
Right.
I think.
So they had to decide which ones were the most relevant. And then the fact that people were complaining that Cisco was in the Supergirl episode, in order for them to complete things that they had to do, Cisco had to be there. He was literally an important part of that last portion of the story.
And he's literally got the magic hands.
So, I mean, I get it, you guys. I sympathize with the fact that people want their favorite characters in every episode. But if they are not the main characters, expecting them to be there for everything is just not going to happen. You're just going to be really, really mad all the time because these characters are not going to be in every single scene. For God's sakes, Lena wasn't even in it. And she's on Supergirl. James was in there for 5 seconds. So, I mean, we're talking about a lot of characters that they had to... This is why Legends wasn't part of this. Because when would they have fit in this? You know what I mean? Like, it just doesn't... It's crazy to me. I get it. And so the only reason I'm so passionate about this is because I literally had people on Twitter yesterday tweeting out complete lies about me simply because of the fact that I talked about how many people were angry that Iris wasn't in every scene, saying that I had literally made videos attacking Candace on Twitter. That I had made video. You guys know me. When have I ever made a video attacking any star of any show? That's not even the kind of videos I make. Why would I do that? So I'm like, all right, so show me the video you're talking about. Nothing. No video shown. And then they're saying, oh, but you're, what do they say? I was harassing people and shaming people on Twitter. Where? Where are these tweets? None of this exists. And it all happened simply because of the fact that I said that it isn't logical for Iris to be in every single scene. That's literally the whole point of what I was saying, and I got attacked on Twitter for it. It's crazy, guys. It is absolutely crazy. And that is the kind of negative energy in the fandom that ruins a lot of people's interest in the shows, because they will go onto Twitter to see a tweet from like one of the actors of the stars promoting the show, and then in that tweet it's just a million of toxic people attacking these actors, but then getting mad saying you shouldn't attack the actors, they're characters on a show, but you spend 24 hours a day doing that for yourself. It's really crazy. I don't understand it. You can disagree with me all you want. The thing that made me so upset about it was they were literally lying about stuff that I had done, saying that I had made videos attacking an actor, and I'm like, no, I never did that. I would never do that. I've advocated against it. Anybody that comes in here, you guys know, you come in and you're like, hey, I'll say, you shouldn't do that. It's not cool. You guys know me. So that's the kind of stuff I deal with over there. And Pagey knows, you know as well. We don't need to get into it. You already know. You go through it. Yeah. So, look, Markel with a 199 super chat. Eric never gets any slack, shaking my head. It's okay. I can take it. I just wish that when I confronted them about, show me this receipts, you know what I mean? They would actually do it. But they don't. So, we got a super chat from Omega here. 499 super chat. He goes, with Enigma tease, yay or nay on a questionable war in season 8 of Arrow, the storyline where Riddler takes over Star City. I think the Riddler will be locked to the Batwoman show. Did you drop out of Discord, Paige? Oh.
No, I was just reconnecting my mic. I was just reconnecting my mic. Yeah, there's something weird going on. All good.
So anyway, that question about the Riddler, I don't think the Riddler's going to be on Arrow at all. I think it's going to be specifically to Batwoman.
Yeah, I'm just going to quickly go to the bathroom and be back in 2 minutes.
Yeah, I think all the Batman characters that are teased are going to be on the Batwoman, the first season of Batwoman. So, thank you. By the way, I want to thank you guys so much for the support. Whether you come in here and there's a lot of people that come on to the live stream here that don't always agree with me, right? And I get it. I'm not here to tell people what to like and what not to like. There's several people, like Mark Hayden. Mark Hayden disagrees with me like 99% of the time, but he's always welcome to the show because Mark talks about the stuff that he loves, but he doesn't come at me and spread lies about me and things like that. If you want to disagree with me, that's absolutely fine. If you think that I've said something that's not right, or you want to, challenge my opinion, that's great too. But at the same time, you need to do it by not trying to make me look like some monster or some villain. And that's really where the problem lies for me. Yes, Dario, we're going to talk about that as soon as Pagey gets back. Bryce says, Black Man, the Elseworlds so white hashtag is an over-exaggeration with the Iris getting screen time. We're better if there's a bunch of black heroes. Yes, Bryce, I agree. And I love diversity. That's the thing. I love it. I've never, ever talked against it. Matter of fact, I've championed it. Every time I see it, I'm like, that's great. We're doing great here. The CW is doing a good job with that. And if I feel like they're doing something wrong, I'll say it. So coming at me and attacking me about it is just so weird to me. So weird. Are you back, Pagey? Hold on, he's putting his headphones on. Marcus, let's not talk about Amazo not being able to run and phase at the same time. That was the dumbest thing. That was so dumb.
Okay, I'm back. I don't know if this is comedic or not. I had to go get some headache tablets after that conversation.
Oh my gosh.
I legit am taking some headache tablets.
Growly says, wait, who's calling Eric a kaiju? A lot of people. What's up, Frost TV? How are you? Yeah, giant monster, kaiju.
What, the West Island was doing that?
Yeah. So Marcus goes, Amazo can't run and phase at the same time. Yeah, I don't know where that came from. That's literally something that Barry does like every week. So let's talk about skipping away from all that drama. That's what happens when I have too much to drink, when I go out drinking and, So the Book of Destiny and the Speed Force language, a lot of people are still saying that the symbols look very similar. Are there any theories on that? Do you have any theories about that yourself?
Say the question again.
The Book of Destiny and Nora's journal. Do you think there's any connection to those symbols?
I don't think so, because the show the crossover didn't really highlight on them.
Right.
Whenever the book was open, you barely saw them.
I have a theory. I have a theory about it, but you know, I was letting you finish. I was just saying I have a theory about it.
Yeah, and I'm trying to think, because obviously Nora almost made it sound like they're a language that isn't affected by timeline changes. So I guess it could mean that no matter what reality, that book still makes sense.
That's exactly my theory. Is that language isn't specific to time travel. It is a language that is beyond time and reality, meaning that when you write it, it holds on to whatever previous things there were. So you always know what happened before, even when something gets changed.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I think it's some god's language, maybe. Yeah, Brad, wait, was that? Brahmaduda? Oh, okay. Yeah, I mean, I think that's probably what it is. Is that it's a shared language. It serves the same purpose in both cases. Nora wrote in the book, after the events of imminent crisis, to send it back in time. She's the only survivor. Press F for Nora. Who's the most annoying character, in my opinion? On what? Across all the Arrowverse shows?
Don't say it, Eric. Don't say it, Eric. Don't say it. You already faced the wrath of Twitter. Don't say it. Don't say it.
Who's the most annoying character for you, Pagey?
In the Arrowverse?
Yeah.
Ooh. I don't know. They flow in and out. Because I remember like Dinah was annoying as hell in Arrow last season. I think it was. Renee was annoying at one point. Curtis was annoying. Felicity was annoying. Then you moved to Flash. Iris is annoying at points. Cisco was even annoying in season 3. I think it was.
I'll give you a hint. Mine's on Legends. So.
Is his name John Constantine?
No.
Is his name Nate Haywood?
Yes.
Oh. My next option was going to be, is his name Gary?
It's a toss up between those two, but I'm really annoyed with Nate this season. He's really bugging me. But Gary is pretty close. Gary was better as like what Gary did in the crossover tonight is what Gary should be doing all the time. Like just those quick scenes or whatever, and then he's gone. That's kind of.
Well, yeah, Remington still went. Mama Smoke is an honorable mention. Well, Mama Smoke. When I talk about characters, I don't include outliers. So Mama Smoke is like literally. If you had like 100% was the annoying character, Mama Smoke is on about, I'd say what, the 332%, I'd say roughly. Mm-hmm. She's just a ridiculous outlier. I don't think, we don't talk about her on streams, I think. I'm pretty sure we sort of banned the words Mama and Smoke put together, like at least.
I hope we never see her again. I'm just hoping she never comes back again.
I found it funny. This is such like a petty thing to find funny, but she has like heaps of Instagram followers, but she's not verified.
Really?
The actress that plays her.
Really?
Yeah, because I know it's random, but Katie Cassidy got married the other day, and she commented on her photo saying congratulations. And there's all these verified ticks. Even people with like 10,000 followers are verified. And then there's her, and I think she has like over 100,000 followers or something. And she just didn't have the tick. And I was like, okay, that's random. Maybe she lost the tick. Maybe she posted something stupid.
Oh my god.
Anyway. Canada Graphs, I don't know. Canada Graphs might be able to say.
Oh, he said that she's the big bad for season 8. Okay, we'll confirm.
Remember, her actress who played Donna Smoke was the one that caused all that drama at the Heroes and Villains when she was acting really rude to all the people that were going there. And Stephen Amell had to go up to her and like pull her to the side and say like, what the hell are you doing? Like, calm down.
Really?
Yeah.
That's really good.
So people didn't know about that.
Oh, John Wesley Shipp also isn't verified on Instagram. That's really crazy. He's been around for a really long time. Yeah. Somebody was asking me about the politics or whatever on Supergirl. I've talked about this a million times when it comes to the shows, like the politics and stuff. I'm not a big fan of them when they feel like they're pulling from the real world. I like it better when it's specific to whatever's going on in the show. So if something comes across as preachy type stuff that you see every day on Facebook or Twitter or whatever, I usually just tune that out because it's not something I like. But if it's specific to the show and it makes sense on the show, that's fine. And you're probably talking about some of the one-liners from the female characters in this crossover, because I did notice there was like every episode had like one line that actually was a bit out of place, I think. And it's okay. If it's just one line, I kind of just keep it moving. But if the whole storyline is about something that feels like it was pulled off Facebook, I'm like, it's not really my favorite thing. So, all right, any other questions about the crossover before we get into the last portion of it, the big reveal at the end? Because I think we all want to talk about that. Anything, Pagey?
I cannot think of anything.
I think we've covered a lot. First name, last name, no problem. Yeah, it is forced a lot of times, but that's the whole point. They want it to they want it to stand out because they're trying to make a point, so they put it in places that make it uncomfortable. That's how the writers do it. So, okay, so the deal that Oliver made, we kind of talked about that already, Jeff, but we're kind of thinking that it's going to have something to do with the beginning of next season. So we probably will not hear anything about that for the rest of this seasons on all the shows, especially Arrow. But we'll probably make a million videos about it. I know Pagey's already got 20 made. He's just waiting to release them. So.
Oh yeah. Well, for people that care, if you are in America or if you're outside and have a VPN, if you go to the CW website, you can watch. I don't know if there's sneak peek scenes or if they're the trailers for the mid-season premieres for Arrow, Flash, and Supergirl.
Oh, okay.
So I'm gonna have to do that afterwards.
Yeah,
I think it was it. Yeah.
We're gonna wrap this up soon. Yeah, we're gonna wrap this up soon because we're gonna answer this and then we'll talk a little bit about Legends and then we're gonna go. What happened to Cecile? Who knows? What happened to a bunch of characters? What happened to Nora? Characters just disappeared over the crossover. But I believe that happened on the last crossover too. There were characters that were just absent, like non-main characters.
Ralph wasn't there.
Yeah. Wait. Canada Graphs goes, I think the Oliver deal will be like the Laurel deal with Oliver. They try not to tell us what they tell us or reveal it and fit whatever they need it to. Exactly. Yeah. I mean, they're going to keep it ambiguous because they want to use it for whatever they decide to do. Like later on.
Yeah, and they probably might, and they might not even know what it is at the moment. They might be working on it. It's like, look, we can keep it vague, is it not even vague, just open, and then we've got a year to write it, so we'll put it in essentially.
Okay, so the big tease at the end was that Dr. Destiny now looks like the Crypt Keeper, or a cross between Palpatine from Star Wars. And he's locked up in the cell. What?
Or like what are they? What's that thing? What's the California prunes? Whatever.
Oh, the California raisins. Yeah.
He's like the moldy version of
right,
him.
so he's sitting in his cell, and right next to him is Psycho Pirate, who, if you know the Crisis storyline, he played a big role in it because he started out trying to help people, and it's been a long time since I read Crisis, so correct me if I'm wrong here, but he started out not necessarily a good guy, but he wasn't a bad guy, and then towards the end he started helping the Anti-Monitor and specifically went after Barry Allen, if I remember correctly. That's what kind of happened. So the Psycho Pirate character is going to be sort of working with Dr. Destiny, possibly to set us up with a proper Crisis storyline at the end. And we find out that next year we're getting Crisis on Infinite Earths. Now, we talked about it briefly at the beginning, and Paige, you were talking about the date, and you were saying, there was a little bit of controversy about that. With the Crisis event, do you think we're going to get Superman back? Do you think he's going to come back for that? Do you think we're going to bring any other characters back? Like, do you think Legends are going to be part of it? I mean, I know it's really early to talk about, but I can't imagine it's just going to be these 3 shows again. I mean, is it going to include Black Lightning? Is it going to include Batwoman? I'm assuming yes. I mean...
Well, I'm going to assume it's just going to include the characters that are in that 2049 newspaper that Nora read.
Okay.
So, from memory, there was Green Arrow, Batman, Elongated Man, I think the Atom was there. Whether it's Ray Palmer or Ryan Choi is another question.
Right.
Obviously, I think they mentioned Supergirl. They might mention Vibe. I'm not too sure.
Canada Graph said it'll be just Iris and Felicity taking them on.
Oh god, like the Nazis. At least there wasn't a Nazi through the pipeline. What was it, through the air vent fighting scene in this crossover?
Oh yeah.
Plus point. God, that was. whatever that
Superboy
was.
Prime. I would love Superboy Prime. That storyline would be so freaking awesome. But I don't know if they'll ever do it.
Is that the thing that Psycho Pirate says at the end is the thing that's in the 2049 newspaper from Nora. He says, "Worlds lived, worlds died. Nothing will ever be the same." That's what he says in the cell, and that's exactly what's in the 2049 newspaper.
So they're literally they are going to do the 2049 storyline. They're just going to do it early. Yeah. So
people are like, oh well, but in Nora's future, it happened in 2024. He disappeared and stuff like that. But I was like, but who knows what Nora being here is doing? Nora could be the cause of it.
Right.
Like her just being here could be the cause of it. Because you got to remember her main goal this season is to try and stop her dad from disappearing.
Mm-hmm.
So what if she does stop him from disappearing in 2024, technically, but then ends up causing this crisis in 2019.
So technically, the language in her journal could still connect to the Book of Destiny because the storyline is continuing into next year. So
yeah, like
there could be some connection.
Like ridiculous amount of connections. Like I think the best word to put for the Crisis on Infinite Earth story, like crossover next year, is just ambitious. I think that's the best word to use. Whether it's successful or not, or makes sense, or just works, or is lives up to the hype, is a complete another something completely different. Because we have to wait and see. But I have faith because even though I don't think this crossover maybe lived up to the hype, maybe I don't want to sound negative, but I just feel like the crossovers have always improved from year to year to year. But I think Crisis on Earth X was better than this one.
Okay, so let's take a look back at all the crossovers that we've had. So the very first one was the setup for Legends. That was really the first, like.
No.
You wouldn't consider that to be the first one?
No, the first one was when it was Rainbow Raider and Captain Boomerang.
Which one was that?
That was in Flash Season 1, Arrow Season 3.
Oh, so we're going all the way back to the very first crossovers then. Yeah.
Oh,
okay.
yeah. So, that was technically the first crossover.
Yeah. So we had that one, and then the next big one we had after that was the one from Legends, right? Where they did all the Legends characters?
The one where they stuffed over Legends Season 1 because they did so much of Vandal Savage's and the Hawk story in that crossover that gave him nothing for Season 1.
And then we had Invasion, which was the really big one. That was the one where it was like the big, huge one. Then we had Crisis on Earth X, and now we have the Elseworlds storyline. I would say this is probably my second favorite one.
Yeah.
I think Crisis on Earth X was easily my favorite because I loved everything they did in that, in my opinion.
Yeah, like I think if the Supergirl episode was stronger, I think it could have been better than Crisis on Earth X, but I just felt like the first half of the Supergirl episode was just like just not there. It just didn't feel like a finale. While the Crisis on Earth X finale, there was heaps of stuff happening. It was like bang, bang. Even the whole crossover was just like bang, 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 apart from the first episode. Because really the first episode was just like the prep for the wedding, the attempted wedding, Nazi invasion, and then I think the Prometheus stuff, and then if I'm correct, I think that's it. I think that was it for the first part. But then again, that crossover had the advantage where it was essentially like a 2-hour part instead of like a 1-hour part because it was 2 episodes on the one night. Right. So it was, I guess it could have been spaced differently.
Do you think this crossover could have benefited from an extra episode, or do you think it was enough for what we got?
Depending on what would have been in it, I think that's the bigger.
Do you feel like they were trying? Because some people said they felt like it was moving too fast, and I'm under the impression where I feel like they didn't have enough stuff. I feel like they were trying to find things to put into it.
Yeah, well, they were. That's why we had 2 different like extended talks between Barry and Iris, an extended talk between Caitlin and Felicity. I think the Oliver and Felicity one was okay because I think it was very, very, very relevant to Arrow this season, so I'm fine with that one.
Right.
The talk. This was the scene that I can't believe went for so long, and I'm sure a lot of people will agree with this in the chat. The Kara and Alex scene. What was the point? It's Alex from Earth 1 that won't remember this after reality's changed.
Right, yeah.
What was the point? It has no effect on it. Right. This has no effect on anything.
And they were so self-aware, they even joked around about the pep talks, you know what I mean? Like in the previous episode, and then they still did them anyway. It's like... Yeah. Okay.
I didn't mind the other ones. I'm like, fair enough. Like they were in there to waste time, but I'm used to them on the shows. But that Kara and Alex one, I don't know why it was there. I can't believe it was there.
See, I understood the initial reason because she wanted to get out of the cell, but once she did that, what difference did it make?
Yeah, like it was just like, what was the point of going on and on and on about this? Like it could have been hammered down, like because, and I think remember watching it when the people in my Discord with the live chat was just like, when is this going to end? Like, what's the point of this? This is not the Alex that we have on Supergirl.
Right.
What is the point of this?
So Mike Haram with the $2 super chat says 90-minute episode. It would have been great. Yeah, I kind of agree with that. I think I could have that would have worked. So Dario says we get to see Accelerated Man in Crisis on Earth next fall. This is Accelerated Man. Cue the Accelerated Man clickbait videos because I know they're going to come out. Look, so Mark says a Danvers sister moment. It was a Supergirl episode. The funny thing is, I'm not going to disagree with you because that is accurate. It just felt weird in the crossover, but you're absolutely right. It would not be a Supergirl episode without a talk between Alex and Kara. It's too funny. Okay, so I think we're going to wrap it up there. I really only had one nitpick, and the big one for me was why is it that only certain characters remember their previous lives? They never really explained that, and I was kind of like, why is it just the important people remember who they are?
Yeah.
That was really weird. The Omega with the 198 super chat says, would you let Guggenheim write Crisis or not? I would like someone new to do it, just my personal opinion. I think, why not let one of the animated writers write this? You know what I mean? Like one of the people that does like the DC animated movies. I can't remember the last time I've looked at a DC animated movie and been like, this wasn't at least pretty good, you know? I would love to get some fresh blood in here. Or, you know what? Just here's my pitch for the Crisis. Let Beth Schwartz and James Banford do all of it. Just let them do the whole thing from start to finish. And I guarantee it'll be awesome. Just let them do all of it. All right, so we're going to wrap it up with that, and we'll do a quick, because it's already 1:16. We'll do 1:16, hour and 16 minutes. We'll do a little bit of Legends and trigger some people, because some people are already ready for me to bag on it. I actually got in trouble in your Discord. Pagey, I got in trouble in your Discord.
Well, for bagging out Legends.
Let's see. I don't know, is this the right one? No, this is not the right one. Let's see. No, it was because we were talking about we were talking about the episode, and there was a lot of stuff that was making me angry, and I was just, people were getting mad because I was just being overly myself. So it was pretty funny, I have to say. I'm not going to scroll a lot of pictures because we're not going to be doing it for very long. I'm just going to throw up one photo. Let me snag one here. But they were saying, oh, if you don't like it, don't watch it. But, you know, the typical stuff that I get all the time. So, Legend of Tomorrow, the episode was titled Legends of Meow Meow. And I literally felt like I was watching, hold on, see here. I felt like I was watching two different things. Like, I wanted to, oh wait, there's a super chat. New character, Jossie goes, $2 super chat. New characters for next year's crossover. I'm pretty sure we're going to have new characters. You know what I mean? I feel like we're going to, we'll see. We will definitely see new characters added. Who we're going to get, I don't know. But I'm guessing it's going to be just like any of the normal stuff that we get with new seasons. We're going to have new characters. Wouldn't it have been cool if our character, Nia Nal, would have been able to help them because she can see the future? That would have been a really awesome thing to help them out in the crossover, I would think. So, but she wasn't there. Yeah. Jossie with the $2 super chat. Thank you so much for that. Also, the fact that Brainiac was able to take down Amazo by himself. That was kind of interesting. Okay, so Legends. I felt like I was watching two different things. Okay, so in this particular episode, I don't even know how I'm going to review this, to be honest. I know you did a review already, Pagey. I don't know how I'm going to review this because it was just crazy. The whole episode was absolutely bonkers. I don't really know any other word to explain it. It was the most pointless episode because it literally, everything was corrected by the end of the episode. So it was almost like nothing even happened. So I'm guessing that you loved it, right? It was your favorite episode of the season?
It was, yeah, favorite because it was the best episode of the season. I think if you don't like it, you're a West Allener.
This was literally the worst episode of the Arrowverse I've ever watched. Like, period, for me. It was so bad because the entire basis of the episode made no sense. It made no sense. There was no reality breaking. It was time travel. How do people turn into puppets with time travel? That doesn't work like that. It doesn't work. There was no Spear of Destiny. There was no Book of Destiny. It was literally time travel. Like, a lot of it I understand, but the puppets...
I think they're calling out you as a West Allener now.
I'm
I have
sure
a feeling if you review this episode, Eric, you might be getting a lot of hate.
So, I'm not going to lie, the puppet part was funny when they started singing. I'm sitting there laughing, like, what am I watching? Like, what is this? But it's just like, first of all, in order for Constantine to time travel and screw things up, he would have had to have joined the Legends. And because of what he did in the past, he didn't go with the Legends. And Sarah confirms that when she goes, at the very first mission, and they thought we needed Constantine. If he's not there, how did he even do this? How did it even happen? And why did they still have a jump ship? They're flying around in the jump ship after stuff has been changed. They should have been stranded somewhere. What was Charlie doing around? How did Sarah not remember her? If everything worked out the same way, but Charlie was on the ship with them, how... It's made no sense. The episode made absolutely no sense whatsoever.
With the puppets thing, I think Cullen's pointed. Yeah, I'm pretty sure the puppets thing happened because Rory teamed up with the fairy godmother. That's why they were puppets. Because remember, yeah, like fairy godmother.
But all that aside, though, none of it could have happened. None of it would have happened.
The Constantine thing.
And the fact that Constantine was under the threat of death at the end of the episode, when we established 4 episodes ago, you can't do something that would result in your own death. That was a rule they just set up this season. They just made the rule this season. And they already broke it. There's no way that he could do that because it would result in his death. And they said that like in episode 3. On top of that, when Constantine turns Zari back into a cat, and they supposedly change the past, and Zari doesn't turn back into a human, I'm like, you turned her into a cat! This wasn't the fairy godmother, you did it! You did it this time, which means all you have to do is turn her back human! You did it! You did it! This episode! Ugh.
I think with the Constantine in regards to that, it was him indirectly doing it. Like if he went to kick his dad in the balls, he is directly affecting his own life. With him and the whole timeline change and him, he's like the nose bleeding. It's not him directly doing that. It's like unintentionally, happening because of the whole timeline changes. So I don't think that's...
How did they even remember? They did it though. They changed time so many times. They should have not even remembered doing what they were doing. Especially like Zari and Charlie. Charlie shouldn't have even been there. Why was she on the ship? Once he changed time the first time, she should have been gone.
Yeah,
why was she still there?
My thought around it is because they existed outside of time when the timeline was initially changed.
Yeah, but the other characters were on the ship too. They were on the Wave Rider.
Was the Wave Rider in the time thing?
I guess because the jump ship was going back to the Wave Rider.
Yeah, I can't remember that. Yeah.
I'm going to go back and watch. I'm going to painfully watch it one more time before I do my review. But I can guarantee you there's going to be people in the comment section that are going to be so mad at me because of what I say about it.
You will.
I did not, like, it's so bad because half of it I really loved. I thought it was funny. I thought it was humorous. Like, for example, why is Nate running around dodging bullets? He can turn to steel. At the very beginning, he's running around with a gun, dodging bullets, or a bow and arrow, or crossbow, whatever it was, dodging bullets, and I'm like, you can literally turn to steel. You have no reason to do that. Also, the fact that when Sarah was killed, none of them thought, let's go back in time and save her. No one thought that. They changed everything about themselves because of that happening to her, when we know that these characters would have attempted to go back and save Sarah themselves. They would have done it, period. That they do it all the time. So they would have done it.
Okay, well, chat, can we get a vote on a 40-minute rant and review on Legend of Tomorrow Season 4, Episode 8 on the DJ Eric 3 Loaded channel? Because, personally, you know what, how long does the episode go for? 45 minutes, roughly? Let's make it a 45-minute rant and review. Live reaction and Eric blowing up at the episode whilst watching it. Make it an hour long, because you may as well pause the episode whenever you're watching it. I think that's a instant classic. May as well chuck a West Allen rant in the middle there. Just give it like a bit of an interlude. Why not? Just do it. I think it's
just
all for
a
it.
random West Allen rant in the middle of this review. Pause it.
Yeah,
I could. You know what? I could do it. Like we're on the part where the fairy godmother. We'll say that's like the halfway mark. The fairy godmother is doing that. I'll pause it and be like, and you know what? Let's talk about West Allen. And I'm just gonna start ranting about that for like 30 minutes or whatever.
Yeah. I think it's what the fans want. Look, they're all in there. It will get 3 million views, mate. Let's just make it 3.5.
3.5, okay.
Elseworlds crossover, please.
So in the chat, okay. So first, I want to know, give your numbers on a scale of 1 to 10. The entire Elseworlds crossover. What do you scale it on 1 to 10? Not individual episodes, as a whole thing. In the chat now, drop what you would give the Elseworlds crossover 1 to 10. The whole thing. I want to see everybody's scores. Because when I do my review of it, I'm going to give a score of the whole thing. Wow, we see some 9s. Okay. Pagey with the 8. Scarlet with the 10.
I think Scarlet's drunk.
A 9.5 out of 10. 8, 8, 9, 7, 7.5, 9, 7, 9.5, 8, 7, 8, 9, 7. So we've only seen 110 so far, but I've seen a couple of 9.5s. 9.2, 7.5, 8.5, 9, 10. Another 10. There's another 10. How do you feel about these 10s, Pagey? Are you as triggered about it as I am about Legends of Tomorrow?
It doesn't make sense. Because if you're giving it a 10, that means you're making it the pinnacle of a crossover when Crisis on Earth X was better. Doesn't make sense.
Iris saves them all out of 10. Great. That's awesome. All right,
it was an 8. It was an 8. I'll give you 8.5 at the most, because the Arrow episode was about a 9.5. The Flash episode was probably like a 8, I'd say, and the Supergirl episode was like a 7 or something. So when you average them all out, it's about an 8, 8.5.
Okay, that makes sense.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, the Smallville part gets a 10 out of 10. Like that was that one part was a 10 out of 10 for me. But that's because it was Smallville. Oh, say Graceful Rogue says, why was Crisis on Earth X better? Oh.
That doesn't deserve a response.
Why was it better? Wow. Abaddon says they'll introduce Smallville next crossover. No, I mean, I don't think I would love to see them together. Like, I'd love to see Tom come back in a Superman suit, and Lex to return, Michael Rosenbaum. But I don't think that's gonna happen. Honestly, I would love for them to do it. I just don't think it is. Okay, so we're done with the scores for the Elseworlds. What? Dr. Meatball's asking again. Why was Crisis on Earth X better? You're gonna have to make a video about that, Pagey. 10 reasons why it was better. Yeah, 10 reasons why it was better or something.
It was just better. Like, to be watched. Like, the Crisis on Earth X was action-packed. The only episode where it isn't action is all the setup, which is in And then that's about what, half the episode roughly. I watched Crisis on Earth X during the break.
Right.
I didn't watch it before this course.
I'll probably, you know what, I should probably watch it again between now and when the shows come back, so we can do a live stream talking about Crisis on Earth X versus this one.
And like, because the thing with Elseworlds is,
and we lost a major character on Crisis on Earth X.
Yeah. Like really, Elseworlds, when you actually think about it, could have been 2 episodes. Mm-hmm. Like when you think about like time wasted in some of the Flash and time wasted in some of Supergirl, the amount of relevant stuff that was actually good could have just been 2 episodes. Because I think the whole Arrow episode was good, but like take out maybe the extended Caitlin and Felicity talk. Maybe went on a bit too long, but I feel it was relevant. Well, I think the Oliver Felicity talk was fine. I think that was a good amount of time. But the Caitlin Felicity talk felt like it was to give both of those characters screen time in the episode. But yeah, Crisis on Earth X, I think the whole thing was good. Arguably, the biggest like what the hell moments were the joint wedding at the end, which obviously triggered everyone.
Martin Stein and Firestorm leaving. I mean, that was a big one too.
Yeah, but that was like so well done. I thought that was so well done. Like
that moment brought tears to my eyes. I remember that when I was watching. I was like, "Oh, really?"
Yeah. I don't know. Yeah, Crisis on Earth. I think everyone that's saying that else. I know it's opinion. I know it's all opinion. However, I think if you take out like the whole Crisis on Infinite Earths teaser right at the end and just watch it for what the actual story was, in like a couple of weeks time, a couple of months time, you'd be like, oh, okay, yeah, Crisis on Earth X was better. Like it is. If you just watch them individually for what they are, Crisis on Earth X is better.
Crisis on Earth X was arguably better than the Justice League movie because it came out around the same time, and people were saying that Crisis on Earth X was a better Justice League movie than Justice League was. That's how good people were saying it was. So,
well, the Nazis were inconsistent, I think, in regard. Like sometimes they'll take it on like Green Arrow and stuff, and then they'll lose into Felicity and Iris in Star Labs. That was super inconsistent.
That's true. Yeah, but I still think it was a good story. Like Crisis on Earth X was a really good story.
Yeah.
So, all right. So now, with that being said, score this episode of Legends of Meow Meow, where none of it made sense. Score it on a scale of 1 to 10. What did you think of it? I know Paige is going to type a 10 out of 10 right now. I feel it already. A 0. I knew it. I knew he's typing a 10 out of 10. A 9, a 0.1. 3 out of 10, 0, 2 out of 10, 10 out of 10, 6, 10 meows out of 10. I'm triggered 4, 1 out of 10, a poop emoji out of 10. Oh, 10,000 or 100,000 out of 10. I didn't even see all the zeros there. 7 out of 10, 0, 8, 7, 8, 7, negative 69 out of 10. Oh gosh. This is funny. The scores are all over the place. This is going to be one of those episodes where you're going to love it or you're going to absolutely hate it. There is no, the middle ground is so barren. All dolled up out of 10. Crisis on Earth X had more stakes than Elseworlds, I feel like. I kind of agree. We lost a character. We lost 2 characters. We lost 1 superhero, but we lost 2 characters because one died in that and the other one left. So,
don't forget the priest. He died.
Whatever
it was, the Reverend. Or
exactly. Somebody save me. That is all. Yeah, I know. Awesome. All right, you guys. Well, we're going to wrap it up. We are an hour and 30 minutes in, and I think that's my target. We actually hit the target this time instead of going over. Thank you guys so much for coming in. During the break, we won't be doing the weekly live streams like regular because there's no shows to do. But we will be doing random, or I'll say random. We'll schedule live streams with me, Pagey. Where we'll discuss specific topics. Like I was just saying, the Crisis on Earth X versus Elseworlds or whatever. That'd be kind of cool. We also have the 4-channel crossover, but I really don't have any information on that right now because I think Boba is hosting it and I haven't heard anything yet. So unless Pagey decides he's going to do it early, which we may actually do, I don't know. We'll see. We'll see what's going to happen. So anyway, thank you guys so much for coming in. By the way, I am so excited. I got my first ever early screening of a movie, and it happens to be Aquaman. I reached out to a local company that does the early screenings, and they were able to get me in. So I'm going to be seeing Aquaman this week. Pagey, have you already seen it? I feel like you've already seen it.
No, I see it. You see it before me.
Really?
Because it comes out Boxing Day in Australia, because it would have been out tomorrow in Australia.
I'm dabbing, and I can't do the floss dance in my chair. I need to expand this window a little bit. So I'm seeing it Saturday is when I'm seeing it. So
it was meant to be out tomorrow in Australia originally, but I guess the people that decide the movies decided to move it 2 weeks ahead or 2 weeks back and move it and put it on Boxing Day, so the 26th, because that's a big movie day.
So you want to see me dab make it a meme? Let me back up here so we can do this. All right, get ready. Here we go. You're recording. If you're screen capturing now, you can do it. You have to come back later if not. Here we go. 1, 2, 3. On the haters. Got it? All right. We're good to go. Oh gosh, Scarlet Speed Force. We're not talking about that. Not bringing that up. We're about to close out the stream. That would start a whole nother 30-minute rant probably. Hit us up on Twitter for that one. Okay, you guys. So we will keep you posted. Don't forget to check out my YouTube stories. I use it. Pagey does it. So don't check his out. Pagey does use his community tab though, but he doesn't use the stories feature.
I only use a community tab because the YouTube notification system is terrible.
So check that out. Follow me on social media at DJ Eric. Follow Pagey at PAGMYST if you're not already. But if you're here, you probably follow both of us. But if, I just thought I would throw it out there anyway. I could probably do a Q&A, or we could do a Q&A or whatever. If you guys did not get to see it, if you just arrived here, in about 30 minutes or so, it'll be done processing. It'll be up and available to watch. So you can come back and watch it from the beginning. And go ahead and subscribe, hit the notification bell if you want to make sure that YouTube sometimes tells you when I'm live. Anyway, have a good night, guys. We will see you later. Thank you so much for coming in. And all the shows are on break, so be prepared for tons of theory videos on everything. See you later.